strong up there. This building is built to withstand winds of up to 200 miles per hour and can sway up to 18 inches in any direction on a strong wind. I think sounds like an exhilarating and terrifying experience. The Sears Tower, now called the Willis Tower, the name change requires a little bit of explanation. When you name a big old tower like this, you don't actually buy the name outright. You lease the naming rights year to year. Now, the Sears and Roebuck Company used to be a really big business in Chicago. We talked about that as we passed the old main post office again, but it's not so much anymore. So a few years ago, they decided they wanted to stop paying for that naming. The Willis Company, which has a couple of floors in this building, took over, and now this is officially the Willis Tower. Although people in Chicago are a stubborn bunch. So natives especially will, until the end of time, call this the Sears Tower. However, in explaining that story, I probably say the name Willis about three times more than I normally would, so I think they are still getting their money's worth. There is no such thing as bad press. As the Sears Tower starts to peek out from the other side of 300 South Wacker, if you look all the way up to the top, you will be able to see 5 little glass boxes hanging off the side of the building. If you keep your eyes on them, you might even be able to see a camera flash up there from a tiny little person standing in there. That is the Chicago Sky Deck. And you can go all the way up to one of those 5 little glass boxes and step out onto them, nearly 1,500 feet above the ground. You can even jump up and down in there if you would like to. They're very sturdy. I wouldn't, but you can. The elevators to get up to that sky deck are some of the fastest elevators in the world. If you ride up them in a tall tower like the Sears Tower, or the Hancock Building, one of the other skyscrapers on the north end of town, you can actually feel the force of increased G's on your body. G stands for gravity. And here, on the ground, we experience 1 G worth of force on our body. As you're heading up those elevators, you actually feel something more like 1.2 G's of force on your body, and you can test that if you're going up one. Drop down into a squat as you're headed up, and try to stand up again. It will feel like you're lifting weights at the gym, because you actually weigh more moving up at that speed. When the Sears Tower was first built, it was the tallest building in the world. Now, it's not anymore. That honor goes to the Burj Khalifa in Dubai. It is actually no longer even the tallest building in the United States. That is One World Trade Center in New York. However, if you were to somehow set the Sears Tower down directly next to One World Trade Center and stand on the roof, you could look down from the roof of the Sears Tower to the roof of One World Trade Center. How is that possible? It is because of a quirk of how architects measure height in tall buildings. One World Trade Center has a spire on top of it. You can't go up it, you can't stand on it, but it is an artistic part of the architectural design of the building, so it counts in its overall height. Now, as you were looking up at the Sears Tower, you might have noticed there are a couple of white spiky things on top of it, but those are not spires, they are antennae. That is classified as equipment. It is not part of the original architectural design, and so it does not count in the overall height of the building. So New York has us beat on a technicality. Not like it's a competition or anything. It's actually a shame that those antennae don't count in height. They are very impressive. Each one of them individually is about the same height as gateways 1 and 2, which we're passing again out the left-hand side of the boat. So they are very, very impressive. As we're heading past the gateways again, we're heading into what we like to call the Art Deco Valley of the river. We've already talked about the lovely Art Deco 2 North Riverside off the left-hand side. I love the way it looks with the ivy climbing up the side of it there. It's really gorgeous. Off the right-hand side is another big Art Deco building. You might notice as we begin to pass it that it comes all the way up to the edge of the water. It doesn't have that 30-foot setback that all of the other buildings along the river have. And that is because it was built before that zoning law was put in place. It does handily have its name printed in big letters across the backside of that building there, facing the river. You'll see them as we come over the bridge. This is the Civic Opera Building. actually the Civic Opera building, but it uses that spelling because it's using the Latin alphabet. Romans didn't have the letter U. A lot of civic buildings use this sort of spelling, sort of harkening back to the old Roman Empire. That's the only thing you see on this wall, really. It's just a big flat side of the building. And the reason for that is this is actually the back of the